Good. Okay, today is officially our last week of class. The program is just 8 weeks longer this time, and today is the last one. So, in the last day of class for this seminar, I always like to let the students make a self-assessment exercise, which means today, you're going to take your time to think about what happened, what did you learn in the last 8 weeks here with me, okay? I'm going to be helping you through the process. What we normally do in this part is like I gave you the first half of the seminar today for you to design a card, the one that you're going to be using to introduce or to tell us later on all the progress you have been doing in the class in the last 8 weeks, okay? I will explain things in detail later on. So, how does that work? First of all, I would like you to pay attention to what is written on the screen. We have like 5 important skills on conversational English. This is the points that I have been trying to build up in you in the last 8 weeks through all the different activities that we have been doing together. So we have the first one, which is clarity. Clarity is the quality of being coherent and intelligible during a conversation. So this is the part in which you use the language that you know to express your ideas in a clear way, that people can understand what you're trying to say, okay? Sometimes you don't need to utilize very elaborate or complicated words to get your ideas across the room. You can use very simple words to express your ideas, and that is perfectly fine, okay? So clarity is the part in which you're going to put energy into others people try to understand what you're saying, okay? We have been working on this since day one. Then we have the pacing, which is the appropriate speed in which a message is told. Sometimes people have difficulties, especially with new languages, when you speak to somebody else and that person speaks too fast, right? When you rush the pacing on your conversation, that is very probable that the other person is going to misunderstand what you're saying. You have to ask, oh, sorry, can you repeat? And the person has to repeat the message again, right? So pacing is important when you are speaking, when you're having a conversation, okay? Something curious about pacing is like, it depends on the language that you're speaking. Sometimes when we speak in our first tongue, in our mother tongue, right, we tend to speak faster than when we speak in another language, right? So probably you will be thinking right now, how fast do I speak when I speak in Mandarin, right? And then you compare it with how fast do I speak when I speak in English or any other language, right? We tend to speak a little bit slower when we speak a different language than our main language, right? So the pace is important when you are speaking to. The third one is the fluency, which is your ability to respond to a message easily and accurately. Fluency is going to be very connected with vocabulary because fluency is the thing that is going to help you to understand the message and then give a prompt response, an appropriate response. Like if I ask you, how are you? And you say, oh, I am fine. So you understand the question itself and then you reply with the fluency necessary to do that. Now we call it fluency because it's going to depend on how many words do you know in the language. If you have a knowledge of very few words, then your fluency is not going to be that good. The more words you know, the more fluency you can get, right? Then confidence. This is the main issue with students in Taiwan or in most universities around this country. That some students, they do have the clarity, they do have the pacing, they do have the fluency, but they don't have the confidence. They don't want to speak because they're afraid they're going to make mistakes, that people are going to make fun of them or whatever, right? Everybody has the same fears, okay? So it's something common among people. But when it comes down to conversational skills, you have to find a way to get that confidence in you, okay? How do you build that confidence? Having fluency, having a good pacing in the conversation, of course, knowing vocabulary in order for you to react for the conversation. The confidence, you're gonna build upon it. Nobody was born confident, believe me, so you have to work towards that, okay? Practicing, making conversation with your friends, reading a little bit more, listening to podcasts, everything that is necessary for you to build that confidence. And last but not least is the vocabulary, which is the range of a variety of words you see in the construction of a message. Vocabulary is important because if you don't have the words, you don't have the tools to actually make the word done, right? So you need to make a hole in the wall to hang a painting. You don't have the tools, you cannot do it, right? You need tools, you need a hammer, you need a nail, you need whatever is necessary. So vocabulary, words, they are the tool to build upon all these things. Understood? If I ask you, Angel, how many words in English do you know? Just give me an estimate. Like 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 1,000, 100, how many?
I don't know exactly number.
Yeah, nobody knows exactly, but you have to give me a range between this and that.
But some vocabulary I learned before, but I suddenly forgot.
So you don't remember it?
Yeah.
But if I ask you, for instance, if you ask me, how many words do I know in Mandarin? I will tell you for sure that it's between probably 300 to 500. It's nothing, right?
So your level is able to communicate in Chinese?
Very, very, very little. Yeah, my Mandarin is very basic. I can ask things like how to go to the bathroom, how to pay this, but conversation, a meaningful conversation, I can't do it. So that is reflected in my vocabulary, right? How many words do I know? So what about you, Wendy? If I ask you how many words do you know in English?
1,500.
Between 1,000 to 1,500. To that range. Okay, what about you, Jimmy?
Maybe less than 1,000.
Less than 1,000. So how less? Like between 8 and 900, between 700 to 800.
500.
500? I don't believe that. No. I mean, I can tell for what everybody has been doing in the last weeks, an average of how many words you know. You definitely know more than that. Yeah?
I often forget. I can remember.
Well, it's a subjective question because nobody knows exactly the number, how many words you know in a specific language, but the more you know, the better the language is going to be. So, always take that in consideration when you're learning any new language, not just English, any other one. Vocabulary is essential. You need to learn words in order to make it done. Okay? And hello?
Hi.
Okay, so we have these 5 points. So clarity, pacing, fluency, confidence, and vocabulary. Why and bringing this up because those are the things that you have to think about in terms of numbers or in terms of graphics, or in terms of quantify what you're going to tell me later on. It's going to be something like this, okay? I will give you a card, I'm going to give you all the tools that you need to do that, pen, pencil, whatever you need. And then you have to present in a graphic way how is your progress. How was your progress in the past 8 weeks, okay? Now, this is just an example how this student made it. And this is not actually for the English class, it's for another subject, okay? They have 5 different items to think about. For instance, here they have like associating, questioning, observing, experimenting, and networking. So, but we have these 5. We have clarity, pacing, fluency, confidence, and vocabulary. Okay, so you have to replace these 5 with the fact that we are actually involving in this class. Okay? Any other information is just general information about you. Your name, you want to do your birthday, that's fine. So this is just a template for you to do it in your own way. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. You can do it in any way. But you need to quantify those 5 items. So what this student did here is that she quantified based on a scale from 0 to 100, which is a very easy way to do it. So you can tell me, oh, for instance, I feel that my clarity at the end of this class, at the end of these 8 weeks, is probably 90% or 90, so you put the 90, and then you keep doing this in the other items, okay? This is another way to do it. It's another example. In this one, the student, he went a little bit farther, and then he even wrote a bio about itself, even a cute like quotation here, and think outside the box and get out of the comfort zone. So you can use your creativity to do whatever you want. Now, this is important because this is something that I'm gonna keep. Okay? So consider that as like your last gift to me as a student, okay? Also have to show this to the committee that organizes this class, and they're gonna see the results about what you have been there and all this stuff. Okay, so the physical proof of your 8 weeks here basically start with this. But also, I always use these things to take a look how my students did. It's like helps me too to assess myself as a teacher. Okay, so put a little bit of effort into this creative process. Then, for instance, here he put a picture. You don't have to put a picture, but you can, if you are good at drawing, you can make a picture of you. I don't know. It's up to you. Okay. Here he's using like these kind of bars to determine to quantify the progress in the 5 subjects, right? This one here was different. She used number, and this one he's using just these values here to represent. Like the bars has this empty that means that it goes from here to here. Whatever. There is another one that I didn't bring today, in which the student he put 2 contrasting graphics. Like when he started, he has this one, like when I started week 1, and then he has another one when he finished in week 8, and then he shows the difference between the 2 graphics. You can do it in any way you want, okay? As long as the information is there and it's easier for us to interpret it. And that's it. He even add these kind of like extra traits here to tell me personality. What does it say here?
Introvert.
What?
Shy,
Shy.
talk,
Shy, and this is the opposite.
outgoing.
Okay, he did the same but with personality traits. You say he was shy and then to outgoing. What is this one?
She's a careful person and
Careful and
Not cute.
not careful.
not careful. That's weird. No, be careful is not a good thing to have. What about this one?
Rational person.
Rational
Rational
and
sensitive. Sensitive.
Sympathy.
Sensitive.
Sensitive.
Yeah.
That's weird. Because it's comparing to things that have nothing to do. I have never taken a look at this part. This is the first time that I'm seeing this part. What about the last one?
I think too so much
Overthinking.
overthinking.
And then
Think very quickly. do something.
Okay, like thinking, fast thinking. Overthinking, fast thinking.
Yeah.
A few of them are actually quite interesting, but some of them are a little bit odd because they don't match the opposites. Okay, well, this is just an example of what you can do. Okay? After you do that part, there's one other part you have to do. You need to take in consideration these two questions. Okay? Let me show you. You're gonna have one of these cards that you're gonna use for your stuff. So the front is gonna be the thing that we just saw, the numerical numbers, the evaluation about the 5 items, right? And in the back, I want you to answer these two questions using your own words, okay? After you do that, which is gonna be the second half of today's class, you're gonna come here at the front with your card and you're going to introduce us your progress using your own card, okay? So you're gonna read those information that you have at the front, you're gonna talk a little bit about it, and you're gonna also answer those questions on the back, okay? And we're gonna discuss a little bit together. The questions are, which week of the program have been your favorite and why? You remember what we have done every week? Probably not, right? It's fine because I have a guideline for you after this, so don't worry about it. I have that covered. That's the first question, okay? You have to think which one has been your favorite and why. You have to tell me the reason, because I learned so much in that week, or because I discovered something that you never think about before, or anything, okay? And the second question is, how can you put into practice what have you learned in the last 8 weeks, okay? How do you plan to use all the information, all the things that you learned here in class, okay? If you don't have any plan for the near future, think about the far future. How this class will help you in the future when you want to do this or you want to do that, okay? Just think about it a bit. And finally, this is the outline of what we have done in the last weeks, okay? The first class was introductions. It was a day in which I asked you to talk to your partner next to you and you have to tell me everything about that person. You remember that part, right? You have to introduce me that person using your own words. That was the first week. And if you recall correctly, that day the classroom was full. It was like 22 students. It didn't happen anymore after the first week. Then the second week was the art of persuasion. Who remember what we did in that week? You remember?
You give those art card and was this played again?
No.
No.
No. This week, persuasion was the week in which I show you some pictures about something and you have to convince me that that decision was the best one for the money to spend, right? We start doing that in the introduction part, but then the next week I bring you something about traveling around, like a city, and you have to tell me which city do you think is best to go and why, something like that. You have to convince me, and then we did it in groups of 4 or 3. I don't remember exactly how many we did, but that was the week in which you have to convince me about something. Then the next week was the debate. Who remembers the debate?
Yeah.
You remember, Wendy?
Yeah.
What was the debate about?
Over cat.
Yes, we were discussing about what is the best option for a pet animal, right? And then we split the classroom in 2 groups, and then we have the cats on one side, and we have the dogs on the other side, right? We also did it with another subject after the cats and the dogs. What was it? Remember, we used 2 subjects to make a debate that day. You remember, Jimmy?
Right outside our door.
Yes, living by your own flat, or living in the university dorms, right? We did these 2 subjects and we debate together about it. That was week 3. Week 4 was the week that you were describing, which I bring like this card game and then we will play with those cards. Remember, I say something and then you have to come here and you have to identify which one is the one that was mine, and everybody plays one card over there. Also, we did an exercise before that in which I showed you 2 images, remember? The first one was like a camping site, at the beginning of the camping site and the end of the camping site, something went really wrong, right? A bear, and this was rain, and you have to describe me what happened in both pictures and then connect them together. That was the storytelling week. On week 5, we did understanding a lecture. Who remember the lecture? What was that about? You remember?
there's a speaker who is blind. He
Yes.
talked about his life.
Yes, so there was a speaker that he is blind, and then he was telling us how he navigates the world being blind with a special system that they call a sonar system, right? And then he can just listen and then knows how many people in the room, where are they, and all that stuff. And we also did some sort of activity in which I asked you which of the senses do you feel was the most important one, right? And then we distribute like the 5 senses among the students, and then you have to tell me, oh, vision is the most important because of this and this and that. And the other thing say like, oh, taste is most important because this and this and that. Okay, you remember that part? Good. Then moving on to week 6. On week 6, we did the analysis of the music video. You remember that, right? Who was here that day?
Oh yeah, we watched the Tori Amos video.
Yeah. Who remembers about it? Wendy, you were here.
No.
You were not here that day. What about you?
I'm not here.
You were not here. Jean was here, right? What about you, Angel? You was here too. Rosario, you were here. We were analyzing the music video. I think you were here. The woman singing inside of a crystal box, and then there was people involved, and then we watched another video after that when everything was black and white, and then you have to tell me that there was a lot of analysis and talking that day, right? That was the music video analysis to the class. Then week 7, which happened last week, it was the media analysis about movies and TV. We did a TV show last week. We watched the thing at the first half, and then after that we did the questioning. Some students has to leave early, so they didn't participate in that. But you were here, Wendy, right? And Angel was here too, and Jim was here too. So you remember about it. We watched Felicity, and then we talk about all the things, a bunch of questions, and we discuss it together. Okay? So those has been all the weeks that we have been here. What have been doing. This is just a refresh for you to remember what happened in the last weeks. Okay? So this is important for you to know because you have to choose one of the weeks to tell me which one is your favorite and why. Okay? And also help you to tell me how can you put into practice everything that we have learned so far in the last 8 weeks. There are different subjects and different approaches to communication and conversation. Okay? So you choose which one is the best one for you, or the one that you like the most, and why. It could be more than one too. Some students have chosen 2 weeks. Oh, those 2 weeks were the best because of this and that. It doesn't have to be just one. If you have more, that's perfectly fine. So after you finish that, then we can come here, every single one of you, and we can share your information with all of us. Rosalia, you're a little bit late, so we are going to be using the rest of the time right now before the second half to do this visual representation of your progress in the class. Okay? So we have 5 items to take into consideration: clarity, pacing, fluency, confidence, and vocabulary. Okay? And then we're going to represent all these in a visual aid that could be presented in this way, like a graphic, or can be presented like this, like bars with progress and stuff. And then in the back, I want people to answer this question. All right? Any job, any question? I'm gonna just keep this there probably, and then you can see it.
So we have to give ourselves the scores.
Yeah, when you say self-assessment, it's like you are actually grading yourself. You are introspectively thinking about, okay, how is my clarity? How I consider that my clarity is at the end of these 8 weeks. Is this 50, 60, 70%, or any range that you want to use to determine your progress, okay? You have to think about it, and you are gonna assign you your own scores. And then you're gonna come here and you're gonna tell us about it, okay? All right, everybody, come here to pick one of these cards. And I have some things here. So we have like markers. We have more markers. We have some color pencils and pens here, and some sticky stuff. You want it. You just come here and pick it up. And there's some stickers. Some students brought stickers last time, so there's a bunch of stickers here if you want to use stickers to decorate your car too. Alright, so feel free to use everything here to do it. Come here and just pick it up. There's some rulers there, you can make some measurements and stuff too if you want to.
So I remember the last year in this class, the only the last class only one.
It was just you or somebody else, right? Yeah, it always happened that by the end of the seminar, most of the students are done with classes, but they're in show. Feel free to come to me and ask me any questions during the process. I'm going to put the template like this. It could be like this, right? Like a graphic. You write down the items and then you give them numbers, values from 0 to 100. I don't know, it's up to you how you want to do it, right? You can also do it like this, like these bars, or be creative and create another different way to do it, like the pie, the percentage pie. You can do that too. There's so many ways you can use it. Just think about it. Be creative a little bit.
So we need to write down all English.
Especially the questioning. The last part, you have to answer these two questions. You have to be reading in the report, okay? Because I want you to be able to speak here, that thing. You read it. You can read it. I'm not asking you to memorize it. If you feel free and brave enough to come here and just say it without looking at the card, that would be awesome. But if you can just read. But you have to back of the card. That's why I will ask you to write it down in English, right? You can just read it from the card. Maybe we should play some music, maybe more quiet.
吃什么？小猪培打哦，肯德基、拿破里，可不可？
老师是